It's time for another episode of Chillie Chats, where we interview folks from the travel and cruise industry world. To introduce today's guest, here's our host, Chillie Falls.
Good morning. My guest today on Chillie Chats is Oneil Khosa, who is the CEO of Bahamas Paradise Cruise Line. He was a former first officer from Royal Caribbean, investment banker, founder of Blue World Voyages. And then he hooked up with the former CEO of Norwegian and got rolling with Bahamas Paradise. So with no further ado, I bring you the CEO of Bahamas Paradise Cruise Line, Oneil Khosa.
Good morning.
Thank you for being with me today.
Thank you.
The first thing on the agenda, my information tells me you're the only U.S. cruise company that sails in U.S. from U.S. waters that has gotten the CDC approval to start rolling again. Is that correct?
That's correct. We got the green status with CDC, which basically is a step closer or a step in the right direction to resumption of cruises.
Yeah.
And most importantly, what it helps us is our day-to-day logistics and with our crew at present.
Right. Through the whole shutdown period, have you kept your crew on board your ships?
So we have two ships, as you know, Grand Classica and Grand Celebration. We were fortunate enough to act a little more quicker on Grand Classica and repatriate most of our crew from that ship. We still have some skeleton crew on that one. But on Grand Celebration, we had about 280 crew members, which we still have, and we are arranging for some of them to go home now after they've been kind of under a lockdown for a long period. So we will be reducing our numbers on Grand Celebration so that we can send some people home who want to go home.
The biggest question of all, your hope for date of July 25th.
Yes.
To resume.
Yes.
How realistic is that?
We have no official reason as of now to believe that it's not realistic. And as you know, when we speak of Bahamas Paradise Cruise in particular, we are a 2-night short cruise. I believe that our guests and even people who have not cruised with us would relatively have a better sense of comfort and would relatively feel a little more comfortable with us, given our short 2-night cruise, given our history wherein we never even experienced a regular flu situation on our ships ever, primarily because of the duration of the cruise, the comfort and safety that it provides you, knowing that you're always 60 miles of the U.S. mainland and you can actually be repatriated at no notice, or at most you're like always 3 to 4 hours away from Florida. And also our drive-through market, which is significant because we get a lot of our guests are from South Florida, Central Florida, and Florida, who drive to take our cruises, remove the air link or any other alternate form of travel exposure to cruise with us. So having said all that, and not to mention our own exclusive infrastructure, wherein we are the only cruise ship out of Port of Palm Beach, we have our own exclusive terminal, we have our own exclusive terminal arrangement in Grand Bahama. We offer a very controlled cruise experience that we are going to enhance. So all these things make us feel that July 25th is realistic for us, or at least from our perspective. But obviously, I cannot speak for CDC or other agencies as to what they're planning or as to how they're going to react. We would be ready whenever they're allowing us to cruise. So that's all I can say right now, because we are in such uncertain environment.
I'm sure you found it. I'm sure you found it as disturbing as I did this morning to hear that the news reports are saying Florida could be the next epicenter of COVID, and I was like, oh no.
I wish I could comment, because I really don't know, and I don't think anyone does.
Yeah.
So it all depends on how at the end how consumers are going to react. Because one thing I want to also mention is that how is cruising anymore? Why is it any more scary, or why is it any more dangerous than any other form of congregation or meeting up or travel? I mean, cruising has taken such a hit, but would you feel you're more comfortable being in an airplane, or would you feel more comfortable being around 100 other people in a restaurant?
No.
So I, as much as I kind of don't want to make it sound like cruising versus others, but I have no reason to believe that I'm any more or less exposed on a cruise ship than anywhere else. So if I'm stepping out of my house, and if I'm taking a flight to wherever, no matter what precautions I take, I think if I'm going to practice similar precautions going on a cruise ship, I personally would be more comfortable on a cruise ship than any other mode of travel.
Me too. I'm actually would be more comfortable on a ship than anything. I'm more afraid of getting on an airplane, quite frankly.
And if you read the news, and maybe I'm sorry if it is just my feeling because I'm from the industry, it feels like all the negativity is kind of channeled to this form of travel. And I don't read anything about any other modes of travel or social gatherings extra.
Do you, with your new procedures, and I did a story, it's been some time ago now, when you first published the CDC whole proposal with your changes. What are you guys going to do as far as wearing masks?
As of now, our crew, whoever is on the ship, they are wearing masks. We are going to do all the things that we think it's necessary. Our strategy on masks as of now is to certainly recommend it, and we are debating as to if we want to make it mandatory in the public spaces or not. But as you can imagine, it's a very individual thing, is what our feedback is and what we are seeing. We don't want to be excessively intrusive as to like, you have to wear it, because there is a certain segment of our potential guests, or as you can see everywhere, there are some people who are uncomfortable wearing a mask for whatever reason or for some reasons. But we also believe that in order to preserve the overall sanctity of the place and everybody is comfortable, we are going to strongly recommend wearing masks in the public spaces to begin with.
I'm speaking today with Oneil Khosa, CEO of Bahamas Paradise Cruise Line, on hopefully upcoming cruises from Palm Beach. I am involved with a lot of solo cruisers. Mm-hmm. And because of that, many of them are big Norwegian folks, because Norwegian has been more susceptible to helping out the solo cruisers so they're not paying double. But you have a wonderful solo package right there with Bahamas Paradise.
It's one of those things that cruising started with the concept of twin occupancy, and I get all the good reasons. But when we came out with our solo cruiser program, the aim was really to remove that disadvantage for a certain segment of our guests who are solo, and it has been very successful. Typically, on every cruise, we will have like 10 to 30 cabins who are solo cruises. And putting it in perspective, our ships have like 600-700 rooms. So that is our normal average. And we have not changed it. It has been a part and parcel of our business. And we would continue to do that.
Oh, that's outstanding, because there's a lot of folks, and I've even got some European folks that are interested in my interview today, because they are also solo cruisers and will go anywhere in the world to find a good solo deal.
The spirit of full disclosure, it's like we don't kind of restrict it. We don't pick any cabins. It's like you're our welcome guest, even if you're a solo cruiser. The same amount of inventory is available to you as anyone else.
That's fabulous. One other question about the whole COVID thing. How, if any, are you changing your buffets?
As of now, based on our kind of thinking, and as you know, like nothing is final, and every day there is something new that comes up. It's important to mention the relativity here. So our buffets would not remain the way they were previously. They will become more like a quasi between a restaurant and a buffet kind of a structure, wherein our crew would be serving you and managing the social distancing. So we will not totally shut down our buffets, but they will be operated a little differently so that we minimize the exposure and we keep social distancing, at a level where we want it to be.
What percentage of your customers fly in? I mean, you said that there's a lot that come from Florida, so they can drive.
I really don't have a number for actual fly cruisers, but if it would help, based on our direct bookings and our online stats, approximately 60 to 65% of our passengers are within Florida because they're driving. The remaining 25 to 30% is generally generated from third parties. So I would assume that would be the broad bracket that is flying cruisers who are either flying in as a part of a larger Florida holiday, or either flying in maybe even as a part of the larger US holiday, especially from South America and Europe, who may be flying in as a part of some group. And I'm sure there is a part in there that's driving from other states too. People from, as an example, Carolinas or Georgia, if you're taking a 7-10 night vacation. What we also see very prevalent with our market is a lot of international tourists are taking our cruises as an add-on to their main Florida vacation. As an example, you fly into Miami, you spend 3-4 days, you're driving up to Orlando now, so you stop, you take a 2-night cruise and carry your drive up to Orlando and fly out of Orlando. And it happens the other way around as well, flying to Orlando and fly out of Miami. So we see a lot of international tourists doing that, especially from South America. So they are certainly fly cruisers, but also a lot of our operators and tour operators and travel agents just sell a 7-night Florida vacation, and I'm sure there is a certain amount of people in there who are driving from neighboring states.
The first time that I actually used you on my news show, I do a 3-day-a-week travel and cruise industry news show. And the first time you really came across my desk was right after the lovely hurricane, and you started your humanitarian effort to get supplies and water and all kinds of stuff back and forth to the Bahamas. How did that all come about?
No, we're very proud and feel very good about doing that, because that was a very grave situation. And as you can imagine, you start developing relationships and affinity with people and places you frequent. And as you know, our name is Bahamas Paradise Cruise Line. We are very connected to the Bahamas. And once this hurricane hit Grand Bahama, which is our only port of call and where our ships have been going for almost a decade, it was natural to just not sit back, especially when we had a ship that could help. And we were very fortunate enough to be there and to help our friends there. We evacuated a lot of people, and they just needed help. They just needed someone to be there for them. Imagine isolating yourself on a decimated island. You feel like, oh my God, there's nobody to help me. I can't even drive or go anywhere. So it was a very important psychological thing for the local inhabitants when our ship showed up. And, we kind of gave them the message that don't worry, everything is going to be okay, and we are here to help. I think that was one of the best moments of our company, to really help someone who we could.
Yeah.
And thereafter, the whole community in Palm Beach and South Florida rallied behind us. There was help and goods and assistance pouring in from every nook and corner. The number of people who volunteered their time and again to go and to clean their homes and to take the supplies. I wish we had documented that on a video, because that would have been very, very inspiring as to like when a whole community kind of joined together to help. It was like hundreds and thousands of meals. Unbelievable human spirit at display.
My guest this morning is Oneil Khosa, CEO of Bahamas Paradise Cruise Line. I've long said that, at least for probably 4 or 5 years now, that the future of the cruise industry would probably have something to do with land packages, similar to Princess Cruises, Alaska Cruises, where they do a 7-day cruise with a 3 or 4 or 5 day land package. And then I find you have a sail and stay program, which you hope to get rolling again in October with.
Correct.
The Classica. Tell us about your sail and stay program.
Yeah, cruise and stay, as we call it, just to be very simple and straight with the concept, is instead of using an airplane or rather any other mode of transportation, we get you to your destination in a pretty comfortable manner, and you can stay at the destination for 2, 4, or 6 nights. And it is definitely a niche, and I have personally experienced it myself. And we are totally behind this product, because not only is it a unique way to mix your cruise and land holiday, but it also helps the destinations. It also helps to enhance the experience to a different level. as much as you can go to 4 ports within 7 days on a regular 7-night itinerary. At the end of the day, you're not exposed to the destination to a level, again, depending on your choice, as you may want. But with our cruise and stay program, you actually get to feel Bahamas for 2 days. Just walk the beach a day or enjoy the seafood. Apart from the regular cruise port offerings like go swimming with a dolphin or a jeep tour or snorkeling or diving, which you potentially could do within a day. But just to be there, talk to the people, see how they live, spend time with yourself, basically, in an amazing destination like Grand Bahama, which is relatively untouched compared to other cruise ports. It gives you a totally different experience. You're not like going out and doing the same thing in 4 different ports, as I mentioned earlier. I think it's a different experience. It may be something that's not very common today, but there was a point in time when almost half of our passengers were cruise and stay passengers. This was prior to the main hotel in Grand Bahama being renovated. So it did attract a certain sect of people, and we as Bahamas Paradise Cruise Line have become pretty proficient on doing it in a way, like executing it and managing it. It certainly is worth doing it because I have done it personally, so I can speak from my personal experience as a part of me checking, like, if there are any loopholes, how are our guests feeling. I've done it a couple of times, and I did it once with my family, and I could see the level of satisfaction they had. So that's a very unique program we offer, of course.
One final question, because I know you have a busy schedule ahead of you today. There's always a argument from cruisers about whether or not to use travel agents or whether to book direct. Do most travel agents are they able to book with you, or do you prefer people to call your online presence and deal directly with your sales folks?
We have a very open policy. We do not discourage any form of participation. If you're an agent, and we have almost 200 agents who are our travel agents selling our product, we are very welcoming of any form of distribution because we believe that our product and our cruises have a variety of what would be the word? Have a variety of they could be fit in different modes, right? As I mentioned earlier, they could be a part of your long-term tour package. They could be a part of your 5-night mini vacation. They could be just a cruise and the cruise and stay. So it opens a very large universe of distribution for us, depending on what your specialty as a travel agent or a tour operator is, and depending on what you're selling. If you're selling inbound US, there is no better way to expose your guests to a cruise than us, because it's hard to fit in a 5-night cruise or a 4-night cruise in a 12-day package when you have to see the entire country.
Right.
So we have been very open. Our policy is very open. We welcome tour operators, travel agents, regular cruise sellers, and of course, our website is there for anyone to book direct, because it's a pretty simple commoditized cruise in a way, for the lack of a better word, going to Bahamas and back. And if that's exactly just you want to do, it's pretty simple to book that on our site or call our call center as well.
Well, again, I know you've got a busy schedule. I thank you so much for being with me on Chillie Chats today. And my next trip to Florida, whenever we get past this COVID business, you're going to find this old fat guy on one of your boats.
Oh, absolutely. And I can promise you one thing. I mean, our cruises, we get a very overwhelmingly, our guests are satisfied. A lot of our guests are first-time cruisers. A lot of our guests are who have never stepped foot on a cruise ship. And even the experienced cruisers, we have a couple out of Boynton Beach who has cruised with us 220 times. So,
Nice.
we get a good mix, and we do deliver, and I'm very proud of our crew on board, our staff. We do deliver an above and beyond experience. I mean, our ships, even though we are a 2-night cruise, there is not an amenity you could think of on a cruise ship that we do not provide. And our food, we get great reviews about it. Also, we're a 2-night cruise, so we don't need to store for too long. It's fresh most of the times. So there are logistical advantages that we have as a 2-night cruise, which we are very happy to kind of blend in our model and give our guests a benefit of that experience.
Fabulous. Well, Oneil, again, I thank you for being with me today. And hopefully, and I'll be following this closely, you will be sailing come July 25th.
You will be posted. Thank you very much. And thank you for your time, and thank you, listeners.
Thank you, Oneil.
Thank you for watching today's chat. We hope you will join us next time as we discuss various facets of the travel and cruise industry. Chillie Chats is a production of Chillie's Cruises and hosted by Chillie Falls.